Hey everyone, this is Nick from NEMMEC Warehouse, and today we're back with weekly update number 147. Let's jump right into it with week in review. This is where we talk about what's been going on in the warehouse, things that are coming up, stuff like that. And I guess the first subject for that would probably be NEMMEC, which was this past weekend. It's over. I'm really glad it's over. I felt like I was riding a like euphoric high for a couple of days after that. Not really a high per se, but just relieved maybe. Just all the pressure of getting ready for the event being off. Things went relatively smoothly. We had a few hiccups here and there, but it went very well, I think. The judging was good. All feedback I've seen so far has been positive. So if you made it, I hope you enjoyed the show. If you didn't make it, hopefully you can make it again if we do it next year. Still waiting to formally decide on that, but I'm leaning towards doing it again. We'll have to see how all that plays out and start thinking about dates and stuff like that if we're going to do that. It was a great show, though. We had a really good attendance, more than I expected, I think. And yeah, it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of work. It was stressful, but it was a great event, I think, and I'm glad we did it, and looking forward to possibly doing that again. With that in mind, though, it's also kind of led us into being absolutely slammed in the warehouse this week, and we're slammed for like 5 different reasons. The big obvious one is NEMMEC itself. Friday, we kind of started tearing down the normal packing setup around midday to get ready for the event, which in itself isn't horrible per se, but a few hours of packing causes, less orders to get packed. We've been a little bit short-staffed. Brent's last day was the previous week, so that means we got one less experienced packer in here. That causes problems as well. Tuesday, we had an issue with our pick list systems. We've got an app that plugs into Shopify that prints out a pick list with bin numbers ordered by, that bin number. If I need 3 of these and I need 2 of those, we use that app to go grab items from the shelf. Well, apparently some API change at Shopify caused that to break. We've been able to get them to do a workaround, but that caused us to slow down as well. And then finally, it's probably not fine. There's probably like 3 other things that are affecting it too. But the other big one is the disk bay restock itself, which lends itself to large, complicated orders. Literally, as I was walking in this morning, they're working on an order that's got like 80 items in it, a combination of paints and tools and all that kind of stuff. In those larger orders, they take a longer time to pack. A lot more SKUs to check and make sure you got all the right items, a lot more things to pick. And we've honestly been in a place where the pickers are struggling to keep up with the packers, which usually it's the other way around. If anything, the pickers usually have a much easier time keeping up with packers, especially if it's one picker per packer. Picking should be easier than packing most of the time. In this case, it's flipped the other way, and that's causing slowdowns as well because the packing stations aren't able to keep up their maximum throughput. So with all those things going on, we're still behind. I think we're on Saturday morning orders right now, Thursday morning, as I mentioned this. Today we'll be able to run 2 packing stations because the staffing is going to line up. We should be able to run 2 packing stations relatively close to full speed today. I plan on probably jumping on a packing station Friday for at least part of the day to try to help us dig out of this. So hopefully in the next week or so, we'll be kind of back on track. Depends on how many other orders come in, what other issues come up in the meantime and things like that. But that's kind of where we're at in the warehouse. So I apologize if your order has not shipped in the time frame that we would normally ship it out in. It's just been this combination of factors that's causing a lot of friction in the warehouse. We do have a new person in the warehouse as of Monday, though. Alex started Monday. So he's helping us with that picking right now. We'll hopefully getting him trained up on a packing station relatively soon, and that itself will be helpful as well. We are still looking for a purchasing assistant. Put the listing out on Indeed the other day, so our pool is going to expand greatly, and I plan on trying to set up a lot of phone screens and stuff after this call, really, and try to get that ball rolling because we really need somebody in sooner than later because the time frame on Kate being out for maternity leave and stuff like that we're getting there very quickly. Finally, we may or may not run some sort of sale this weekend. I don't know what it is yet. I got to figure out exactly what that sale is that makes sense. Kind of depends on how caught up we are by the end of the day today to make sure it makes sense. So if you're curious, should be on a banner on the front page or that banner at the top of the page if we're running some sort of sale. All right, that's it for week in review. Let's move on to pre-orders. We had a handful of new pre-orders this week. So the new pre-orders this week, they're all Kotobukiya MSG items. They're the Heavy Weapon Unit 45 Exceed Binder 2 White, the Heavy Weapon Unit 44 Exceed Binder 2 Black, and the Heavy Weapon Unit 43 Zenith Wing White version, Heavy Weapon Unit 42 Zenith Wing Black version, and Heavy Weapon Unit 22 Zenith Wing. So they're basically all backpacks, the Exceed Binders and Zenith Wings. Great for adding a fancy backpack to another kit. And that's basically what we got for pre-orders this week. All right, let's move on to team picks. So this week for team picks, we're gonna take a look at all of the judges' builds for the Redacted contest. So let's go take a look.
So for my Tama2 build, I was on a recent bender of like watching Warhammer 40K videos, so I wanted to do something like very much in that theme. So I had a friend of mine coach me and kind of give me examples on how to like get weathering, painting done. So a lot of this was like completely new to me. I ended up using, I believe, like Mr. Hobby, like UG24, like yellow paint, like the Gundam yellow. I used display markers for the eyes. I did a lot of like small battle damage to show that it was either in the middle of a fight or just recently got out of a really good one. The guns on the top, originally the plan was to do a Gatling gun where I took all the sprues and like kind of custom made my own, but realized how much time that would take. So I took 4 demi-trainer guns and I super glued them all. And I ended up like doing weathering on those, ended up painting those with like a gunmetal black. So yeah, like the whole idea was to go with like orcs made of Tamo2. So that's why I use like yellow, because most of the Gorkanauts are yellow. I mean, my overall favorite part of it was doing a lot of the head stuff on it, getting like the small like crosshair scratch on his left eye, and then getting some of the scratches on the top. But overall, like testing out all these new things, learning a whole bunch of new things, I think is what I'm going to start doing going forward when it comes to building at this point.
Hey everybody, my entry was the Tamatulip. I have yet to build a Tamato, so this was the first one I got to try out. My skills aren't super great. I wanted to try to build up on those, considering the kit was very simple and you can do a lot for it. And so this is the first time I actually primed the kit before I painted it. And then I also used rattle cans for the first time, because normally I use Gundam markers to do my paint stuff. I don't like yellow paint anymore. Yellow paint was a pain in the butt. It pooled up, it didn't have good spread, it would be thin or it'd be thick, and I had to apply the yellow paint. I think I had to like sand it away like 3 times. Eventually I was running out of time and I decided to try to hand paint it. So I guess that's another new skill. Inspiration for my Tamatu, I wanted something that we could have displayed in the home and be like a pretty nice talking piece, or something that would appeal to more people. And so I tried to go for something kind of cutesy, something floral, in which case we went to Hobby Lobby, picked up a couple like flower stickies and a water pail and tool set for like a dollhouse. You can see that being held up in Tamatu's claw, and then the flower on the neck. Paint-wise, try to make it look like a sunflower. The head, use the brown. The body, use the brown with some green highlights for the top part. That way it would be kind of like a stem. I'm personally really happy with how this came out. There are obviously some places that I would change. Like I would definitely try to do the yellow again. Maybe try to find a different kind of flower petals things for the head. But overall, I think it's going to look really good on a shelf or on the dining room table. I love it. All right, so I did the spitter. Essentially how I did it was I primed the entire thing in black first and then did like a black gloss coat to it. And then I masked out all of the parts that were gonna be red with the spider pattern on it. And the way I did it was I took a 0.2 millimeter tape and I actually had to cut it down the middle. We didn't have any of the 0.1. So I could get the right thickness for the lines. And then I had to essentially just mask out every single piece by hand. It's not perfect. You can definitely see there are some points that there's some kind of wiggly, wavy lines that don't necessarily match up, especially on the connecting pieces. But I feel like overall the masking went pretty well. The one thing that I definitely would have changed on it was the eyes. What I should have done from the beginning was probably do the head in a white and then mask out the eyes from the beginning and then do the additional black, mask it out again, do the red on top, and then I could just take the tape away and the eyes would have stayed white and been the base layer. Because when you try to put white on top of red that's on top of black, it's kind of impossible. And the only way I could get like an actual smooth, whole, not see-through finish to the white eyes was to just put so much white on it that it started to pool up and get kind of gross, so that when I actually did pull the tape off for the masking, it kind of just was disgusting. It's not terrible. I'm happy with it. It seemed to do pretty well in the community vote, but there's definitely things I could change about it, and it kind of made me want to do another Tama 2 build, but pretty happy with it. I liked how it came out, but yeah, that was a spitter.
So my build for the redacted judges contest was the Tama 2 holds the line. The original thought behind that was that the Tama 2 was going to be defending the base from the invading Hexagear guys, so that a couple of the frame arms girls could escape. I did not get everything done because I just kept getting bigger and bigger in my head. I am very happy with the way that the Tama 2 itself came out. The first time I've done bullet damage on shields, and it came up with a hand paint solution for the scoring on them. The guy doing the backflip off of the upper pedestal was totally inspired from Rico in Starship Troopers. And the first time I've built some Hexagear guys, I can now definitely highly recommend the Governors. They were fun build, even though they're really tiny. There's a lot of detail there. Used a combination of airbrushing and hand painting on the base. Mostly happy with the way that it came out. A few things I probably would change on it would have, if I'd had more time, would be go back and clean up some of the stuff in the background on the back bases. Those are all everything in that build is a Kotobukiya product. That was my challenge for this. The only exception to that are the little metal rolls in the back to kind of add depth to the build. Those are cardboard tubes from our label machine that I painted with a titanium paint, just for some background detail.
Hey guys, my Tama 2 was I don't know if I even had a name for it, but it was the white and orange one with the LEDs. And the idea behind the whole thing was when I wanted to try stuff I had done before. I had big ambitions, didn't end up doing 90% of what I really wanted to do, but kind of had to stick with what I could actually get done at the time because time eluded me a bit. But I did give LEDs a try. It was challenging, a lot of kind of carving out the insides of it in order to make room for it. The head is not really set up to have LEDs in it, especially. So there's a lot of kind of drilling, cutting, removing pieces in there to get the LEDs in there to fit behind the eyes. The front LEDs are actually relatively easy because the holes in where the glass or the clear pieces go in are already 3mm, so a 3mm LED fits perfectly in there. And the rear LEDs required some extra work too because they weren't quite the right size. And it was, I think the most challenging piece of all that is getting everything in the right place as you're trying to assemble it. All those wires running through the inside, kind of wanted to disconnect and pull in different ways as things are going together. Custom built the base, ended up using a block of foam to create a kind of a structure for that. And yeah, I guess that's more or less it. I enjoyed the process. I'm happy with how it came out, except there's a lot more stuff I wanted to do, and there were a lot of corners I had to cut towards the end to get it done in time, as I'm sure most people that participate in this contest kind of felt towards the end. That's it for team picks. Let's move on to Q&A. So this is where I answer questions from you, the viewers. If you have a question you want answered, post it down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer it next time. First up, Dolfo, when's the next build contest? Great question, and unfortunately I don't have a great answer for you. I'm not sure. I would suspect earliest is probably early next year. With the baby on the way, probably just over a month away at this point. I've got a little too much on my plate, and I need to get kind of caught up. We need to get through some of these other warehouse things, get new people trained up into their positions, and I just don't want to divide my attention in too many places. I do want to do another big public contest, probably not a mystery box contest like the Redacted, but a regular public contest in the next few months. But most likely we'll start looking at that like beginning of the year next year, just to let us get through the holiday season and all the other chaos that I'm sure is ahead of us the next like 3 to 4 months. Next up, Plastic Germs. What or who would you like to see collaborate with Gundam and Gunpla? So that's a great question. I don't really know. I'm trying to think of who in the maker kind of space would be good for that doesn't already do Gundam or Gunpla stuff. You know what would be interesting? And this is totally out there left field, just thought of it now. How about Mark Rober? I would love to see Mark Rober do something ridiculous with Gunpla. I'm sure he probably could technologically make a Gunpla that like actually transforms or does something like that. And that would be really interesting to see. Fun question, would you prefer to live in a steampunk type of world or a futuristic one? I think I'd go with the futuristic one. Steampunk seems like it would be interesting to visit. You know, if there's a theme park that was steampunk themed, I think that would be fun. I think I would much rather have super futuristic, high-tech world, whatever, with all the comforts that would come with that, though, if I had to actually live in one. And then Kitsune 5417, question, if you could Chucky yourself, like the Chucky horror movies, into a toy figure knick-knack, what would it be? I think right now it would be some sort of stress ball type thing. Maybe like one of those ones with those things with the head like kind of explodes, because that's how I feel sometimes these days. So let's go with that. So that's it for Q&A. If you have a question you want answered, post it down in the comments below. I'll do my best to answer it next time. Thank you for watching. See you next time.